You're on this channel, you're on this video because you are into personal development, you're into self-improvement. My name is Temi, I'm a qualified occupational therapist and aspiring life coach. So lovely to have you here, and I share things along the lines of personal development, self-improvement and life coaching topics, things like that. So if that is up your alley, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share the channel. I'm trying to grow here, so that would be really helpful. Thank you. Before we get into this video, grab a cup of tea, grab a coffee, and let's get straight into this quick fire video. Discovering your why is one of the most important things when you are thinking about starting a business, planning a life, doing anything. Understanding the reason why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Finding out the why, the reason for you doing anything in life is going to be so vital, especially when the seasons of adversity and the seasons of difficulty arise. Because let's be honest, how many of us at the beginning of the year in January, we said we're going to go to the gym, and then towards the end of January it's kind of like, am I still going to the gym? Probably not. Am I still working out? Probably not. So do you know what, thinking about your why is important. And I would say that it's not just thinking about any sort of reason, but discovering an emotional reason for whatever it is that you're doing. I find that whenever there is an emotional reason for something, anything that you're doing in life, there is a bigger pull towards you staying committed, doing that thing, even if it means waking up early, even if it means going to bed late, even if it makes you uncomfortable, you still stick with it because the why, the reason that you're doing whatever it is that you're doing has such a gravitational pull. When I think about my own life and when I started out in business and just kind of trying out the whole entrepreneurial journey, and also just finding my feet as a young person in a big world, I really had to kind of do a lot of soul searching and decide and think about why do I want whatever it is that I want. Even like the goals that I set and things like that, thinking about why I actually want those goals was really important for me, or to me. But do you know what? The moment I discovered my why, the moment I discovered the way I want to live my life, how I want to feel, how I want to show up in the world, how I want to serve people, the message that I actually want to give or be remembered for, that was when I discovered a lot more about my purpose, and I discovered a lot more about why I want to do what it is that I want to do. And I'm being honest with you, there's times where I wake up at like 6:30 in the morning and it's cold, it's raining, it's freezing. I would rather just stay snuggled up in bed. But my why, the reason why I do what it is that I do, makes me get up in the morning pretty early before anybody else is up, and I have to go for a run, I have to go for a morning run. And that's something that I actually built into my regime only about a few years ago, to be fair. I haven't been doing that for a long time, but I would say this is the power of knowing the reason why you're doing anything, or knowing the reason why you're even on the earth. And I think that when we discover our why, when we discover the reason for us being here and how we want to show up and how we want to serve the world, that then helps us, genuinely helps us to build a life that makes a lot more sense for that reason. When I was younger, I was just living life like I had no why. I was just living as if every day was just, I don't know, I was just living life with no intentionality. I really learned the power, and I think I'm not going to go into this too much because this might be a separate video, but I learned the power of intentionality, living in an intentional way, setting the tone for your life and building values, principles and beliefs that govern and help to guide your life and set parameters. And I think that's one of the big things for why I love discovering or knowing my why, and why I'm such a big advocate for people also discovering their why. think a few years ago, I went on to a podcast called the Courage to Try podcast with my good friend Angela. And on that podcast, I actually shared like an acronym. I might even insert the podcast here somewhere on the screen. I shared an acronym with her listeners, and a lot of people found that a valuable piece of information, which I'm really grateful for. The acronym basically is WVP, and this is an acronym that I built, but it's also an acronym that I live by, and it's also an acronym that I share with people, whether I'm going on a podcast, whether I'm just speaking to people, or even if I'm just like speaking with a potential client. Always talking about WVP. What essentially is WVP? I'm glad you asked. WVP is an acronym that basically embodies my why, my value, and my purpose. W stands for my why. Why am I doing what it is that I want to do? Why am I starting that business? Why do I want to live in this neighborhood? Why do I want to lose weight? Why do I want to build a great life? Like, why do you want what it is that you want? Why are you doing what it is that you do? Why do you want to work in that profession? Why do you want to be a doctor? Why do you want to be a life coach? Why do you want to help people? So basically, understanding your why is really going to help you when the storms of life come, when the difficulties arise, which we know they will, and when the adversity comes. We know that life is in seasons, we know that life is in stages, and so it's best to prepare for those seasons of adversity and basically know your why. So the second thing is V. So V stands for my value or your value. So I believe that every single human being has intrinsic value, innate value, that basically just by existing, we have gifts, talents, ways that we can show up and serve the world with. So basically, these are things that we just naturally are able to do. Some people are just great talkers, some people are just great musicians, some people are just great singers. It's not necessarily that they went to school to have the gift, but they just have an innate value. And I believe that every single person has that, and it's about tapping into what essentially is your value. How do you want to show up and serve the world with that value? How do you want to be remembered? Things like that. P stands for my purpose. So my purpose is really thinking about questions, thinking to how do I want to be remembered? What is my legacy? And the way that I like to kind of, I suppose, coin this or help to kind of frame it is think about your 80-year-old self, right? Think about your 90 or your 80-year-old self. And think about, if you were just to close your eyes for a moment and to think about your 80 or your 90-year-old self, think about how they would feel right now. Like, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they genuinely pleased? And I feel like when we sit with that image of ourselves at age 90 or age 80, and we think about, are we actually happy at that age? Are we settled? Are we content? It helps us now to live in a way, basically to live from where we are now. Because as young people, we think that we have the time, all the time in the world. And we don't always, actually. Life can be very short. And I think the last few years have actually taught us that. So it's really about, I suppose, uncovering and discovering how it is that we want to feel at the end of our life, so that we can live now in this present moment and basically live backwards, right? So we're basically thinking about how we want to feel at the end of our life, but how we're going to feel at the end of our life is basically a compilation of the decisions that we're making right now, today, in our life, basically. And I might do a whole new video about that in particular, because that is something that I feel like I would want to touch on a separate video. But look, this is a short fire video about the power of finding out your why. The moment you discover what it is you want to do, the moment you discover why it is that you're here and how you want to show up, how you want to be remembered, and the way that you want to build your life, is the moment that you begin to live in a whole different realm of power. Trust me, like, people think that this is just theory, but try it, it really works. And it's something that I think the more that we harness the skill of tapping into our why, tapping into the reason why we're doing things, and our purpose and our value, and coupling all of that thing, all of the acronyms together, that's the moment that we begin to live in a completely different way. And the moment you begin to live in a completely different way, you get completely different results, right? At the end of the day, you're on this channel, you're on this video because you are into personal development, you're into self-improvement. There is something, or there is a part of your life that you're not necessarily happy with, or that you kind of want to achieve a certain goal by a certain time, and you want to feel like you've accomplished something, right? So this acronym is for you, this video is for you, and this series that I'm doing is for you if you're that person. And the reason why I say that is because this is a live series where we're going to be literally touching on all sorts of topics, and we're going to be covering all sorts of things. And so I'm really excited, I'm really excited because for a long time I've just been sharing my life, which is all fine. I've just been sharing travel vlogs, which again, I love to travel and I love to, be happy and all those sorts of stuff. But something that I really want to do is really bring meaningful, valuable topics to YouTube, bring value to people, and not just have this in a one-to-one session with someone or with a client, but bring this value out to a lot more people. So if this is you, please, please, please subscribe. I look forward to you joining the family, and I will see you in my next video. All right, bye.